Welcome to my channel, where your adventure into the future starts right now. Step into a vibrant universe filled with groundbreaking technology, breathtaking alien landscapes, and exhilarating sci-fi narratives that challenge your imagination. From daring explorations of distant galaxies to haunting journeys through dystopian societies, we uncover the most captivating stories and innovative ideas that will shape the world of tomorrow. Subscribe today and join us on an incredible intergalactic voyage that promises to inspire and thrill. Exploring the idea of humanity introducing concepts of mental health to alien societies provides an intriguing thought experiment, one that delves into the intersection of culture, biology, philosophy, and communication. The notion can be imagined as a kind of cross-cultural exchange, where humans come into contact with intelligent extraterrestrial societies and attempt to convey ideas foundational to emotional well-being and psychological understanding. This process would involve not just the translation of language, but the sharing of deeply human experiences, assumptions, and frameworks of thought. Such an endeavor would lead to profound questions about the universality of mental health concepts, the challenges of establishing common ground with beings whose mental or emotional processes may differ fundamentally from our own, and the ethical considerations of imposing human paradigms onto alien ways of existing. Imagine that humans first encounter a complex alien society, one with language, traditions, and values vastly different from our own. These aliens may not conceptualize mental health in ways familiar to us, nor may they recognize the same emotional struggles or states as we do. For humans, mental health encompasses emotional, cognitive, and social well-being, often linked to the ability to cope with stress, maintain relationships, or perform daily tasks. Translating these ideas into a format that would resonate with an alien species could involve identifying common biological or emotional underpinnings. After all, many aspects of mental health are biological in nature, influenced by neurochemistry, hormonal systems, environmental factors, and stress responses. But bridging the gap would involve more than merely explaining stress, anxiety, or depression using biology. It would require constructing a shared understanding of experience and narrative that allows two very different species to connect on a shared emotional plane. Communication with aliens would likely rely on sophisticated translation methods, whether these involve shared biological markers, empathic translation devices, telepathic methods, or an understanding of universal expressions of suffering and joy. If mental states could be translated into relatable phenomena for the alien species, it would open pathways for mutual understanding and care. It would invite the question of whether certain mental health experiences, such as grief, trauma, or joy, might have equivalents or analogs in alien societies. The challenges of this communication would be enormous. For example, the concept of depression relies on specific assumptions about how humans experience mood changes, the interplay of neurotransmitters, and cultural frameworks about happiness, fulfillment, and personal well-being. Would alien societies have similar biological pathways to depression? If so, would these beings interpret those states through their own conceptual models? Mental health is always embedded within the frameworks of a particular society's worldview, philosophy, and culture. As such, humans would need to be sensitive to the alien society's own cultural assumptions and their ways of understanding suffering, relationships, and emotion. Furthermore, introducing the notion of mental health might also lead to questions about whether these alien societies would find human emotions and mental health constructs universal or completely alien. Perhaps they have their own natural or biological mechanisms for dealing with emotional distress, entirely different from human coping mechanisms like therapy, social support, meditation, or psychiatric treatment. The possibility of discovering entirely new ways of processing emotions or treating mental challenges would be an exciting prospect. In this way, the sharing of mental health concepts would not just be about presenting human experiences as a model, but would also allow the potential for reciprocal learning, where humans might learn from alien perspectives and traditions in addressing mental well-being. Ethics would play a central role in this kind of exchange. Would it be appropriate for humans to introduce their own mental health paradigms to alien societies? Would it risk imposing Earth-centric views of suffering or emotion on beings whose experiences and biology might operate in fundamentally different ways? Would alien societies accept these ideas as valid, or would they reject them as foreign or intrusive? Moreover, how would the introduction of mental health interventions or treatments affect these alien communities? Would it lead to dependency on human models, or would it lead to constructive integration that fosters mutual understanding and empathy? The act of sharing mental health concepts would also involve an exploration of human assumptions about what mental suffering is and how humans treat it. Mental health practices on Earth are influenced by a mix of biological understandings, philosophical traditions, religious beliefs, and social customs. Introducing this to alien societies would involve explaining not just the biological science underpinning mental health, but also the psychological and socio-cultural dimensions of mental illness. Many Earth traditions focus on mental health as being both individual and collective struggles within one person can reflect or contribute to larger community stressors, such as environmental change, resource scarcity, or trauma. Would aliens recognize the social determinants of mental well-being as we do? Could shared suffering or communal healing be a concept that resonates across species? Similarly, humans might struggle with how much to share about their methods of mental health treatment. On Earth, mental health interventions include medication, psychotherapy, community support systems, meditation, and other holistic approaches. Would these treatments or therapeutic models make sense to alien societies? Would the biological basis of mental health be easily comprehensible to beings with different evolutionary histories, different brain structures, or different interpretations of emotional experience? If humans proposed shared therapies or frameworks, there would need to be sensitivity to alien physiology, culture, and ethics. A fundamental obstacle would involve definitions themselves. Even the notion of what defines mental health would need to be unpacked and made clear. For instance, humans may struggle to explain what well-being means in a society where emotional states, environmental stressors, or social norms differ significantly. Likewise, would mental health rely on a shared biological baseline between the two species? Or would well-being instead depend on environmental stability, existential considerations, or cultural rituals? Exploring these ideas would prompt questions about whether mental health is universal, something based on shared biological markers, or whether it is ultimately subjective and culturally constructed. The concept of suffering, so central to the idea of mental health, would be another area for consideration. How would humans explain emotional pain, trauma, anxiety, or despair to alien societies? Would these states resonate with other beings that have different nervous systems, cognitive capacities, or environmental experiences? Perhaps certain emotional states would have parallels, while others would prove entirely foreign. The act of attempting to explain pain, loss, or emotional suffering would likely be deeply human, reflective of earthly perspectives and frameworks, but could still offer insights into shared biological processes like stress responses, neuroplasticity, or the relationship between memory and emotion. Shared mental health education between humans and aliens would likely involve common biological concepts: stress, the effects of neurotransmitters on mood, and the role of coping mechanisms in managing challenges. But the methods of expression and shared solutions would be layered with cultural or physiological differences. Perhaps alien societies would already have their own mental health models based on evolutionary solutions or environmental adaptations, or they might lack certain emotional responses entirely. This could lead humans to question whether all mental health paradigms are rooted in shared biological experiences or whether they are inherently influenced by species-specific ways of understanding pain, emotion, and community. Ultimately, the introduction of mental health concepts to an alien society would be much more than an academic endeavor. It would represent an exchange of fundamental values about empathy, connection, and care. It would explore universal needs for stability, community, communication, and emotional support, but it would also challenge humans to confront assumptions about universality and difference. Introducing mental health to extraterrestrials would not just involve attempting to explain our emotional frameworks, but learning, two learning about the alien experience of mind, consciousness, and emotional states. This kind of cross-species dialogue would highlight not only differences but common threads, demonstrating that despite biological or evolutionary differences, the struggles associated with emotion and stress have the power to connect beings across time and space. In this hypothetical scenario, exploring mental health with alien societies could represent the first step toward interstellar empathy, shared understanding, and mutual discovery. Sharing this concept would emphasize that mental health is not just about individual experience, but about building relationships, fostering community, and understanding the shared struggle to find balance, stability, and meaning. Just as humans continue to learn from one another about emotional struggles, mental illness, and resilience, this dialogue with extraterrestrials could be a profound journey of mutual exploration and shared humanity, an acknowledgement of both difference and similarity, and the belief that even across unimaginable distances, shared emotional experiences can form the foundation for understanding and care.